welcome to Private Lesson episode 19, I hope. I can't remember. Yep, 19. This episode I'm working with Nick. This is Nick's first ever formal instruction of any kind, and I was blown away with his body position right from the get-go. But we tweaked some things within it, and he was a super good listener, so it made my life easy. I was able to give him a piece of information, and then I really didn't have to remind him of it again throughout the day, which was pretty unique. Typically, to try to break a habit, it's not going to happen in a day, so I urge you guys to just be patient, go slow, work on it for days, weeks, months. The longer you ride and the longer you have these bad habits, the longer they take to break. As always, guys, comment below. You know what you want to see from these private lesson videos. Going to try to keep them rolling. I've been at the track every single day since this whole virus thing has started. Again, just a reminder, there's only a few of us at the track throughout the day, and we're all staying separated. The people that I do my lessons with, it's one or two at a time, and either they have a helmet on, I have a helmet on. We're not being reckless with this, so no need for negative comments. Hit the subscribe button below as well, and enjoy the video. So this is Nick's first time ever having formal instruction, and he has, like, I didn't see his baseline. I didn't even get a chance to see him do a warm-up before we started, which I'm really mad about, because he either had really amazing attack position before, or he's just the world's best listener, because I just gave him a full rundown from head to toe, the attack position that I wanted him to follow, and he's doing it absolutely perfectly. So now the one thing we're noticing, I'm going to try to strip it down and keep things super simple for him, but he's riding in one or two gears too low. So every time he accelerates, it's super snappy and wants to pull him off the back. And then when he decelerates, he's getting extreme engine brake and it wants to throw him over the front. So that's the one thing that's making life difficult for him right now. Body position wise, the only thing I caught you doing every once in a while, but I would see you catch yourself, is your elbows would start to just do this. But then I would watch you put them back up. So other than that, your feet were wicked tight the whole time. Were you having to readjust them quite a bit, or did you find that they...
I think if I would shift or hit the brake a little bit, it might have like come out and I'd have to bring it back.
And this is one thing I didn't mention. So when you're riding on the balls of your feet here, that's why so many people do lazy man's option, which is just rotate out and in, which when you shift, you have to actually slide your foot forward, get the shift, and then slide it back. Okay. And then same thing when you brake, little slide forward, hit the brake, little slide back. Your knees were locked wicked tight. Would your knees normally be like that?
No, but normally I'm lazy and normally I don't ever have them locked like that. I know I grip more with my hands than my legs. Okay. Usually.
They were locked tight. So when I tell people, I was telling a student yesterday that didn't have anything on their knees at all.
Yeah.
I was like, even with knee brace, I can show you what my knees look like when I'm done tonight. Like, they're shredded on the inside. They're just cut up, and these are really comfortable, good knee braces. But still, I'm gripping so hard that there's no way they're not gonna get chafed and just rip. Okay. Even in the turn, you were working the bike under you a little bit, which was good. Your knees never broke contact. A lot of people, I'll tell them to get in that position, and then all of a sudden when they go through a turn or they want to work the bike under them a little bit, their knees will open up, and then they'll start working the bike, rocking it back in between their legs, which obviously isn't what you want to do. So for you, it sounds like grip on the handlebars and elbows is going to be a big one. Yep. One thing I noticed right off the bat, and it's going to be super obvious when you watch the video back, is your gear selection. You're riding one, maybe two gears too low. And what it's doing is when you go to accelerate, you're in like second gear and it's like, yeah, and I can watch you like kind of getting pulled off the back. And then when you decelerate, it's engine braking so aggressively that you're kind of almost getting thrown over the front a little bit. In a straightaway right here, you should be in fourth gear. Downshift one for the turn, you should be in third around that turn where you're probably in second now. Yeah, yep. And then maybe even consider shifting fourth going back up the hill and fourth. Listen to it, and you don't want that, and I know it's a 125 and it wants to scream a little bit. Yeah. But go up one or two extra gears and just see. Obviously you don't want to be to the point where it's going to stall, but it's going to smooth out your riding. It's going to make these bumps feel smoother. When you land jumps, it's not going to feel like you're coming down from a 5-story building. It should be nice and smooth. Okay. You actually have that power to pull you out. So how tall are you? You're
Like
decently
6'2".
tall. Okay, yeah. If your knees are going to be above the seat, which in some situations they might, even like drive your knees back a little bit further than that, you need to try to grip with the next best thing is kind of what I say. Like,
okay.
Think about guys like Benny Bloss. Like he's literally 6'6", I think.
Yeah.
He's probably gripping with just his Alpine Star boots.
Yeah, it's...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's how you do it. Yeah. So, and he just asked, do I want to drive my knees forward to compensate to try to get my knees on the bike? No. Your knees shouldn't, when you're standing, there's exceptions to every rule, but your knees shouldn't go really in front of like this spot here when you're standing.
Okay.
And you weren't doing that, which was great. A lot of people, I had a guy yesterday that was trying to grip their knees, but then when they would hit an obstacle or try to like absorb, their knee was shimmying all the way to the very front part of the shroud. Okay. And I was like, holy cow, and you could see him just death gripping with his arms. Yeah, so, and I know it's gonna feel a little weird. All right, first pass by already a million times better. So instead of third, he's in fourth, and then turns instead of second, he's in third. Simple solution. Now I'm gonna have you sit for the turn. So you have to have, in this section here, you're gonna have your braking zone. And that's another thing too, is in this section, I want you to get comfortable. In the other ones where they're kind of flowy sweepers and you have rough bumps coming into a flowy sweeper, you don't really have to brake that aggressive. It's more so just staying on the gas through it. But in this turn, coming into like your standard 180 turn, you have to have that braking zone so that you can turn and then reaccelerate and begin your turn. So let's get you using the front and rear brake while you get your downshift. So your downshift should happen at the beginning of your braking zone. You were getting it pretty early. I was noticing you're getting your downshift like at that first sprinkler head way back there.
Yeah.
Which it could wait a little bit unless you accelerate really hard down that's the thing. So on my 450, my braking zone might start at that sprinkler, but that's also because I'm landing that finish line going 25 miles an hour faster than you are, right? If you're gonna choose to go that same speed that you are now, you're gonna have to wait a little bit, because when you brake, especially on these Huskies, the brakes are really good. Your braking zone's gonna be super small. If you feel comfortable and your position will allow it, you're in such a strong attack position right now, accelerate down that landing a little bit, accelerate into the turn, actually force yourself to brake. If you miss the rut, so what? You know, the only thing you gotta worry about is the fence, which is way out here. I mean, you got a lot of room for error here. So charge down the hill, and he just did a decent job of it. He came in and then forced himself to brake a little bit. But get used to what that feels like. When you brake, we're using the front and rear brake together, no clutch. You pull the clutch in, the bike's gonna freewheel, and when you hit the rear brake, it's just gonna lock up and skid. We wanna try to utilize that engine brake and get that wheel chatter, which is that noise coming into the turn.
Yeah.
Have you heard that noise before, or are you familiar with that?
When I had a 4-stroke, I did, not so much on this.
You can get it on the 2-stroke. It's a little bit more difficult to get because your engine brake is gonna be a little bit less on the 2-stroke,
yeah.
But it is still a thing. Especially you downshifting to, if you're downshifting the second, you'll hear it. You heard it a little bit. He also didn't brake that hard, like which is okay. I mean, he flowed really nice through that turn, but we should be forcing ourselves to brake a little bit. Once you're done braking, and only once you're done braking, then you can sit. So your sitting point, it can't be until after the last roller. That's the key. So your last roller is here. Here. You got a little one here, but you should be fine. It's very, very small. You should be sitting somewhere in this range. That means you're braking. Has to be done back up. And then we can sit.
Okay.
Now your sitting position is the exact opposite of your standing position, in the sense that when you stand, your butt keeps the weight back, your chest keeps the weight forward. When you sit, your butt comes to the front. We're not aiming for a gas cap, but we're gonna aim right here, probably for like a 1-inch space to the front of the seat. Your butt's gonna be what puts the weight to the front. Now your upper body is going to remain a little bit more perpendicular to the seat. So your upper body is going to relax a bit. Elbows should be pretty close to 90 degrees. If you're too far forward, so sit up on the seat. If your butt was there and your chest was here going through the turn, now all of a sudden we have way too much weight in the front. So we're gonna start to get that knifey feel in the front. And then when you go to accelerate, you're gonna have nothing in the rear. So your rear is just gonna be dancing everywhere. So our butt stays forward, but our upper body more relaxed, elbows always up. And allow that weight to go into your foot and into your butt. That's where we stay when we sit. Elbows are hugely important. Like I told you earlier, if that inside elbow drops, head's gonna go. In this left-hand turn, if your outside elbow drops, what's gonna happen is your chest is gonna rotate away from the turn, and your bike's gonna wanna ride wherever your chest is rotated. So your bike's gonna actually ride up and out of the turn. Outside foot, so in this left-hand turn, this foot's gonna be on the peg, right on the balls of your feet, applying pressure down as hard as you can. Think about it, you should have 75 to 85% of the weight in your leg and not in your butt. If you have all that weight in your butt, which a lot of people are guilty of doing this, as soon as you go to accelerate, whoop, you're just gonna get slid right off the back. This section is super smooth coming out of the turn, so if there's any place to get away with it, you could sort of kind of get away with it here, but not really, because you're going right up a jump face, so you don't want to be sitting on the back fender when you go up the jump face, because then you're gonna get thrown kind of funky. Other parts of the track here, as soon as you go to accelerate, you're dealing with just rollers and bumps and acceleration square edges. So if that weight's just in your butt and not in your leg, you're just gonna get shimmied right off the back of the bike. If that weight is big time into your foot and your leg, you can absorb and let the bike, you can sit, but I call it almost like a fake sit. You can allow that bike to drop under and then meet your butt. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Same thing like when we're in Supercross and we jump like a finish line, big finish line jump and land with our foots out, sitting down for the turn. We're not landing sitting on our butts because that would hurt like crazy, right? Although it looks like we're sitting, we're meeting that impact with our leg that's on the foot peg so that our butt very gently lands on the seat. When you take the turn, as little clutch as we can, rely on gear selection and throttle control, which you seem to have that figured out. And then if you're in the rut, which we're gonna work that rut for now, and then after we get this turn dialed, we're gonna just start working the jump. In the rut, use that front brake a tiny bit to manipulate lean angle. A lot of people use the clutch, so they're like, oh shoot, I'm riding out of the rut, my bike's too vertical, I gotta get more lean angle. They pull the clutch in, it's not really gonna do much for that lean angle. Using the front brake is gonna allow that bike instantly to drop down to where you want it, and then a little bit less front brake will bring it up, simultaneously staying on the gas.
Okay.
So instead of doing this, or instead of doing this like crazy through the turn, I'm one continuous time on the throttle, and then I'm just kind of working the front brake to manipulate that lean angle. I know it sounds weird, but especially when the track develops like it has today, where there's nice ruts in a lot of these turns, when you can rely on that rut sticking you to a turn, you can rely on that front brake for lean angle. Yeah, when you're riding like a line that has nothing, obviously you can't use the front brake because you're just gonna end up probably pushing the front. But when you're in a rut, you can. I meant to only give you one thing, I gave you a million things, but sit down where that mark was. You got your braking zone, get your downshift at the beginning of the braking zone. Once you sit, get your sitting position correct. And then as soon as you exit the turn, stand back up, right back in that attack position. Every time you're sitting a little too far back.
Okay.
When you go from your attack position standing up to sitting, you're sort of just plopping down. It should be more of a lunge or a jump to the front of the seat. So think of it that way rather than just sitting. Think of it as a lunge to the front.
Okay.
In the turn itself, inside foot placement, which is something I didn't even talk about with you, was actually pretty good. Always remember, high and tight, toe pointed in to the point where your toe should almost be making contact with the front fender. If it's not there, it's on the foot peg. In this corner, play around with both. Maybe if you want to do every other, do your foot out high and tight for one, and the next lap you come around, just leave it inside foot on the peg.
Okay.
It's good for you to get comfortable leaning the bike over and committing to the lean without relying on that foot out there. Although you didn't seem like the type that relied on just dabbing it too much on the inside, which is good. A lot of people put their foot out solely for the purpose of just like having access to the ground, which obviously is not what we want to do. And then elbows, when you sat, were definitely hit or miss. They weren't terrible, but I could just, they're doing this the whole time. Like it seems like you're thinking about them and they go up and then you forget like almost immediately, and then you think about them again. Constantly work on that grip. Have a couple parts of this loop where you kind of do that mental reset and just adjust and get back in the position that you need to get into.
Okay.
Sit up. Sit up. Feel how your bike wants to keep riding out of like the up top, the last part of the rut and ride up and out? It's because of where you're sitting on that seat. Every single time you're sitting even further back than that. Yeah, you were like right there. Gotta make a jump to the front. And I know you're tall, so you feel a little bit crowded with your knees when you do sit forward.
Why I don't come in all the way. I hit that and I just
But you gotta get up to this spot.
Okay.
Here, get there now, just so I can see what your outside knee looks like. Yeah, you still got plenty of place to do so. You were sitting back here, and
every time it wants to pull me up and out.
You flew off here one time. That last one, this is your front tire mark right here. Sitting where you should and then utilizing your front brake to keep that front wheel in the rut will also help. I didn't really see your hand.
Too much back. I don't think I'm doing any front.
Yeah, use front and rear when you actually brake for the turn. Once you get to this line that I drew, you should be off of the rear brake completely. Yep. No more rear brake at all through here, but then you rely on the front.
Okay.
So I'm going to demonstrate a couple times through.
Yeah.
Get really close here. Watch first of all my sitting position where I sit in the seat. Watch my elbows because I'm really good with my elbows, and then watch my finger on the front brake and how I'm able to get that wheel to go into the turn.
Okay.
Inside elbow up. So Nick's sitting that far back. He's not able to keep his elbow at 90 degrees, so he can't easily keep it up. He's leaning back to where his elbow has been at this angle,